how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we are with Luke Stone of Fund My Comics. How you doing, Luke?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on. I know this
Oh,
is like
it's my
a kind of a
pleasure.
short notice thing, but I appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I figured tonight we'd have a topic. Usually I'm just kind of like freewheeling and talk about anything, but it's no secret that I'm going to try to fund uh, crowd fund a comic in hopefully not too distant future.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I've hired Renzo Rodriguez, wonderful artist. Here, I'll show something by him if I can, and then when playtime. Here's a rough pencils, halfway
Very
inked up
nice.
page one. I love this perspective. It's at this point I'm super excited because this is exactly what I pictured in my brain. And Renzo I used words and then he turned them into art. I wish I could.
I love how that works.
Yeah. I'm excited. Like when I got it back, I was like, oh my god. Like I keep reading interviews with like Marv Wolfman and he goes, yeah, George Perez would draw this wonderful stuff, but it was only like 30% of what I was picturing, but it was beautiful. This is like better than I pictured, but exactly what I pictured, if that makes sense. So I'm excited. But now it's time, I guess, to do some real work, and you're here to tell me all the things I don't know. But what do I not know?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know that much, to be honest with you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Who are you, and why did I come to you for this?
Well, I'm Luke, and I have been doing comic books for, let's see, what is it now? 8-9 years.
Wow.
Being, quite seriously crowdfunding them. Anyway, I've crowdfunded over 30 different projects.
Cool.
More than 30 projects on all the different sites. And this year, last March, I started a crowdfunding website. So there's a good chance if you have questions about crowdfunding, that's probably why you're talking to me. Because
what a coincidence.
I got a little bit of experience with it.
Yeah. Might as well go straight to the horse's mouth, right?
Right. Pardon me.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah, it's just I get little scratchy when I talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So you started Fund My Comic on your own because you didn't
Yes,
like
sir.
what other people had to say, or the way they treated
Well,
them.
there was a few different reasons. Primarily, I wanted a little more freedom. So I wanted the freedom to be able to crowdfund on my own terms, to be able to set my goals the way I wanted to, adjust if I needed to, those kind of things. I wanted a different set of features than what I was being offered on crowdfunding websites already. I was seeing people have some success already doing it with their personal websites. So there were some things and tools that I wanted to do with that. Secondary to that was I was concerned about, being a Christian and leaning a little conservative. Well, I lean a lot conservative in some areas. In most areas, I guess, really. I was really concerned about, being deplatformed, and I didn't want that to happen.
And we need to point out that has happened already.
It has. That's why I was concerned about it.
This isn't a paranoia thing on your behalf. This is something that literally happened.
Yeah, I was watching it happen, so I decided it was, it was time to.
And as you like to say, it happened on the green site overtly, just flat out. People got the platform. I'm using your terms here.
Yep. Uh-huh.
The pink site, it happened overtly, meaning, you friends of mine, guys who I talk to on this channel, guys who I support and love, who are great guys. You couldn't find their campaigns. You had to get a direct link from them directly in order to support them.
Yeah, they were shadow banned.
I couldn't think of the term.
They were also doing this other thing. They were getting real wonky.
Right.
With the payouts, and they were keeping the money longer than they should, which was weird.
I haven't heard that. That's been going on. They've been keeping the money.
Yeah, they've been, given a hard time on the payouts.
Wow.
And so I decided I wanted to do something for myself, and so I was just really trying to primarily find a way to crowdfund and do all the things I wanted to do, just for me. I wasn't sharing it with anyone. That wasn't the intent. But, as things would have it, what we wound up coming up with, we could have multiple users. When we found out we can have multiple users, people started saying, why don't you build a site for the public? And I was like, no, I'll do it for my friends, because then I don't have to get lawyers involved. And, we just only have to worry about a couple things, and I won't.
Do you have to have a beard to be on your site?
No, but it helps.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, it does help. Yeah.
So you started a website to cut out all the BS. So you have control of this. So,
Yeah, I got control of it.
So you you haven't shadow banned anybody, and you haven't politically gate kept anybody.
No, we don't intend to.
Now, I'm going to ask the hard hitting questions. Would you?
Sure.
Would is there a situation where you're like, listen, I just don't like your politics. I don't want you on my website.
I'm not going to say never.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to say, because you never know what some lunatic might do. But would you tell them beforehand?
I'll pretty much tell them that they're not going to get approved.
You see, now that's fair. Now that's fair. Like the green side, if they looked at my stuff and they told me, listen, we don't want he here, go elsewhere, before everything started, you know what? Fair enough. All right, fine.
Right.
But don't take my thing and then shadow ban me.
Well, I have a list. We have a list of rules. This campaign criteria.
Okay.
And if you can live inside of that, then you'll be fine.
And is it consistent with everybody? Because that's another thing.
It's across the board. Yeah, you can actually go up to our website. Down in the footer it says campaign criteria. You can access it from the terms of service. And there's a lot of places where you can access it. Yeah. And it's pretty simple. Okay. If you do this, then you're going to be fine. We're really okay as long as you're doing something illegal. If you came on and started advocating for pedophilia, I'm probably going to not let you on the platform.
Yeah, or taking somebody else's IP,
Oh yeah, well that's a law. Like that's a law. So I mean, well, yes and no. Pedophilia is against the law.
Yeah.
But right now, people are trying to normalize.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Right. So, personally, religiously speaking, and I guess it would be on a political side. I don't subscribe to a lot of the mainstream views on gender ideology and sexuality. I'm fairly conservative in that regard, and I don't care if you're making a product or a project that is about that, really.
So you can disagree with you.
You can disagree with me, yeah.
Okay.
Where I start to get a little dicey is when you start marketing and targeting children.
Fair enough.
Because primarily kids can't use our site anyway. You have to be 18 to use our site.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird that you would target, so that would be the only.
I'm over 18, and mine is just gonna be a clean cut superhero story, like that, something that Marvel or DC would have put out in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I think I made a lot. Now, I wanted to ask you now. I hired an artist, Renzo Rodriguez, phenomenal artist.
Sure.
This guy is just amazing. And should I start a business? I'm talking like the bare bones. Like, what would you recommend? Like, do I start like a comic book company or LLC or things like that?
I wouldn't start out with that. That's a lot of headache to start out with.
You see, I'm talking like a guy who I just write. I'm writing a story.
Do the book. I would suggest having a contract. Work up a contract. I have a video about making contracts.
Okay.
It's boring, but it's it's necessary. So I do have it over on my channel. And I would say definitely start out with contracts with all of the people that you're working with. Even if you trust them, it doesn't matter. Even if they're friends, doesn't matter. Have a contract. Make sure that all that's in place. Make sure they know what they're getting paid and when they're getting paid for it. I did have a campaign many, many years ago where I paid someone for their services, and the campaign made a lot of money. And they thought that they should have gotten some of that. And I was like, no, you got paid already. I hired you. This money's my money now. Right. And so, make sure that you're, getting all that under, under a contract. Make it sign. The reason why I say that is because, if you go into it with a clear cut set of expectations and everything is communicated clearly, you can have no misunderstandings.
Okay. Yeah.
Misunderstandings is what causes drama. And you don't want drama. It's hard enough to make the book to begin with and to get it funded and to get it sent out to everybody. The last thing you really want is to create extra drama
Yeah,
because weren't clear about things.
I'm getting a black. Well, I got a black notebook, and I'm just writing down like I paid this for this page, on such and such date. You know what I mean? I want to keep a record. Now I'm looking at this guy to be a colorist, and I'm gonna,
Do it in triplicate. Do it in your notebook. Do it on a spreadsheet. Put it everywhere. Because at the end of this whole process, what you want to do is see how much money you made or lost in the end.
That's another thing. This is how much expenses. It cost me this much to print the book. It cost me this much to
Yeah.
ship it to the United States. This much to ship it international.
Hail,
You know,
Marcus. It's good to see you. Yeah. A contract, it's never a bad idea to have a
right?
contract, even if it's simple. It can be super simple and still worthwhile.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm talking about the bare bones.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the layout stage. I
Great.
have an artist doing layouts, and I'm in the process of contacting a colorist.
Have you worked out all of the details on when you expect pages, how he expects to be paid,
Yes,
what the
yes,
timeline is? All of
yes.
that should be in writing under a contract, and you sign it. It
And
could
it
be as
has
simple as typing up the agreement. I'm serious. It could
if
be as
private
simple as
message counts as writing, then yes.
yeah, it could be as simple as just typing it up in a Word document and sending it over.
Yeah,
And say,
you're
here,
right.
sign
You're
this.
right. I'm horribly naive. I trust everybody until I don't trust anybody.
I used to, and I used
Yeah.
because I have a ministry background, and from my ministry background, I thought that everybody, like I
Thought everybody was you.
I expected the best from everyone, or I hoped the best from everyone. Well, I'm a little more cynical now these days,
Yeah.
if you will. So I don't expect the best from people. In fact, I expect quite the opposite. So that's why we start with a contract, and I let people surprise me. So that's how we go. And Marcus, I'm feeling pretty good actually. I've been having a little bit of trouble with some kind of light
You had
congestion.
a
I don't
bad
know
health
why.
scare a while ago, right?
Yeah, I've had a little bit of light congestion the last couple of days. I think it's because the weather is changing, and it's maybe a allergies thing. But I'm feeling good. I've got plenty of energy and trying to get a lot of work done. But yeah, so we're doing all right.
All right. So let's. I got a contract. An artist, me and a colorist, me and a letterer. What's next? So now
Do
let's
you
just
have an
not have
editor?
all 25 pages or whatever it is.
Do you have an editor?
I have. Yes, I have an editor. Yes,
That's the right answer.
yes, because
Oh wow.
yes, because that's my big fear is, oh, I know the story, and then other people read it and it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm
Marcus, you'll have to get a hold of me. I'd love to hear your story. We can
Oh my
compare
God.
notes
I
sometime.
put this up here and I didn't even read it.
Yeah.
It's probably a dangerous thing for me to do.
5.5.
Marcus was also in a coma from COVID. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. I got 5.5 weeks in a deep nap, and then 5 months in the hospital. Talk about a vacation.
Wow.
5 months, people waiting on me hand and foot.
As a curious question, when you were in the coma, did you dream or is it just time?
I did, man. I dreamed a lot. I remember all of them too.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember it all. And,
I always just imagine a coma would just be like you close your eyes and then you wake up and it's
no, it was quite vivid actually.
And did you hear people talking?
Well, I did. I think a little bit of the what was happening is a little bit of reality. The real world was creeping into the haze, and then
Turning into dreams.
yeah, and I do believe that I left this plane at one point. There was a period of time where it was really rough, where I almost died, and they were kind of pulling some Hail Marys,
Wow.
and the dreams were all very consistent with me being tied up, locked down in some way, having something in my mouth, unable to speak or communicate, which was the tie into reality.
Were you on a ventilator?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
So I was. It was the last dream, if we can call it that. I think it's more of a memory because I can smell it and all that good stuff. I went to heaven. So I was outside the gates. I was there.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. It was quite a sight. Yeah, it was beautiful. Very beautiful.
Wow.
Yep. It was
Wow.
like nothing I'd ever seen. Like nothing
Wow.
I'd ever seen before. Yep. So, yep. I
Wow.
remember it more clearly than our last interview.
You have to be the comment.
Yep.
I don't know. I've heard horror stories. Well, on a lighter note,
Yeah.
so
Crowdfunding.
I got an editor. Now, I
Yes, that would be the
this,
right answer. You have an editor.
I have an editor. So let's
Hmm.
just say the creative phase is now over.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
I got I wrote the story. Renzo drew the story. The colors that I'm looking at, everything worked out well. Um, and then the editor is, you know, looked it over. We hashed out everything, and then the I said editor, and then the letterer put we got it all. So it's a comic book, except it's not printed. What do I do next? What would be the next step?
Market. In fact, I would start marketing now.
Yeah, I've been talking about it now. You know, I'm
Talk about it, share the art.
yeah.
So there's this, when you talk about marketing, independent creators, they get all weird
Here you
because
go.
they're like,
Here's the first
yeah,
one.
no one way,
Here's
And
the,
people will say a lot of different stuff about marketing. The truth is, all marketing is trying to find people that would like your book, letting them know about your book, and then seeing if they have the money to buy your book and if they're willing to give you that, right?
right.
So it's a simple process of finding the kind of people that would enjoy your the stuff that you're doing. So start hanging out with those people now. Let them know that you're making a book. Even ask them what they would want in the book. You know, like, hey, if you were to buy my comic, if you were to help fund my comic, what is it that you would want in the book to entice you to buy it? And that can help inform some of what you do during the creative process so that you know you have a product that you at least have a little bit of an audience for already. Let's use the little Mermaid AR-13L that Pixel Trader and his crew put together. That started out as a meme, right? He made just a little joke meme. And people said, I want that comic book,
Yeah, same with Cecil when he said I want to make a
right?
comic called Cash Grab. The next thing people like make that comic.
I want that. So
Yeah,
you do it. So then you know you have an audience, right?
yeah.
A lot of times we do this in reverse. We make a book and we keep it secret. And then we just unleash the crowdfunding campaign and we expect people to buy it. No
It's
one knows about it,
you're
right?
funny. Yeah, you're absolutely right because I'm like, do I show Renzo's layouts? Do I show like the unfit? You know, and then I'm like, yeah, why not? So I'm asking
Yeah.
Renzo, is it okay? Because I didn't know if he'd be embarrassed if I showed like some of his rough sketches, you know, as we were hashing out panel. He was like, yeah, show it. You know, that's what it's for. So it's funny that you said that because
Mhm.
I'm a victim of that. You know, so you know I've been working on it for a while now, and now I'm like, yeah, I guess it. What am I just going to throw it into the void? You know,
Yeah, and I would also, as part of this plan, while you're getting it ready, have a plan of attack on how it is that you want to let the word get out. Like, you know what genre you're doing. You can figure out what your basic demographic is. Find out where they're hanging out and, join those groups and get in those conversations. Go on those shows, talk about things, let people
yeah,
get to know you. You're already doing a great job with the John's Long Box. People know who you
thank
are.
you.
You've got, people that come along and people love these conversations. So that's going to help a ton. You've already got your own platform. Now you can kind of stretch out and go to other people's platforms as well
Yeah.
and kind of make a
Anybody,
schedule for it.
anybody wants me on their channel, Luke says you have to take me. Okay.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, make a schedule and
Yeah, anybody. I'll go on anybody's show. First off, I liked the whole thing was I like to talk to people about comics. You know, so if you want to talk about comics, I'll show up.
right.
You know, I'll talk about comics. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. And now then talk about your comic, like what makes it special? Why is it worth you spending all the money to make it, and all the effort to make it,
Excuse me.
you
It's
know?
funny because I feel like I shouldn't talk it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's egotistical to
See,
bring it
a
up.
lot of people think that,
Yeah, you
but
know,
you do have to talk. No one's going to sell your book better than you are.
Matt
And
Baer, who's in the audience. Hey, Matt, how you doing? You know,
hey, bud.
he invited me on his channel, and I wanted to start screaming about my comic book, but I thought it would be inappropriate. I would be rude. I'd be selfish, so I didn't. You know what I
You
mean?
you have to talk about it.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
See, most people don't even know the stuff that I do that often because I'm so busy talking about Fun My Comic that people really rarely hear about my hybrids books, right? And I've had to, take my own advice and
Yeah,
what's
you
up,
got to
man?
toot your own horn, right?
Yeah, and say, look, this book is good. You got to get it. You're going to miss out on a great story if you don't. You've got to
I,
believe in yourself. There's a line
oh,
between
I believe in myself.
cocky
I
and
just
confident, right?
yeah, I'm like, is this impolite? You know, my mom was big on being polite and having
Are you
manners.
from the Midwest? Because you sound like you're Midwestern.
You're the first person in the world to ever say that. I'm from New York, born and raised in New York. Although I did live in
Okay.
Albuquerque for a couple of years, and when I was in
Okay.
Albuquerque, all I had to do was say hello, and they were like New Yorker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly you sound like you're from New York, but maybe your mom was from the Midwest or something. I don't know, because that's a Midwest value. I don't want to be a trouble. I don't want to be rude.
Yeah, well,
But no, so, you have to have
gotta
some
went to Catholic
confidence.
school. Got to have manners.
Yeah, you've got to have some boldness about you when you're out there trying to promote your book.
Yeah,
And then what you do is you got to find those couple of fans they get excited about it too and latch onto them. Give them ownership of kind of things a little bit, not of the story or the production,
Marcus is
but
right. I'm a Long Islander. Yes.
yeah, not I'm not like saying hand over ownership or production or anything like that. I'm saying give them a reason to be excited about your IP and make them part of your street team, make them valuable to get out there and spread the word. I'm actually working on a gift box right now for a couple of people that have really been spreading the word about not Fun My Comic, but about hybrids for me. And so, I mean, they don't know it, because I'm not, it's not ready yet. But once I get it, I'm going to message them and say, hey, I'd like to send you a couple of things, say thank you. And hopefully encourage them to want to talk about it even more, because word of mouth is the best way to do it. I mean, you can get out there and tell one person, but if you can tell two people and then they tell two people and
Yeah,
so on and so forth.
like that commercial. And
So
so
yeah,
on.
you got to start thinking in terms of that now, and instead of like, I mean, I did a lot of work for this one company, and they kept everything secret. They didn't want to launch anything. It was all very quiet. And then they come out with a crowdfunding, and no one knew about it, and it barely funded, and and I'm like, this is the wrong way to do it.
Yeah,
Share this stuff, talk about it all the time, let people know what you're doing. You've got to keep the property visible, right? So the whole time you're making your book, get to that point. Then once you're there, right? Hopefully at that point you've started gathering emails. You haven't even built the campaign yet,
right.
but you've signed up for MailChimp or something. You've started gathering your emails, and then you build your campaign and you promote that sucker for 2 to 4 weeks. Build that thing, and then just let.
This is before a launch. You're saying
This is before you launch. This is you start promoting it. You start sliding into the comments and the chats and different places. You let them know, hey, can I get a shout out? Maybe even drop a super chat. Hey, can I get a shout out for this? Message the people that hey, do you mind shouting this out? Get a little trailer made or something, little 15 or
okay.
20-second trailer made.
Where do you get a trailer made?
Pedro Ang can make you a trailer very reasonably for a few $100.
Okay, so you see, I got my clipboard ready and I'm taking notes. I'm not
Yeah.
joking when I said
He can actually animate something for you to give you something kind of neat and incorporate the actual art of the book too. He can animate the actual art of the book for you.
Pedro Animator. Okay.
Pedro Ang, yes. You'll see him on Nerd Bacon tomorrow morning.
Wang.
Ang, A-N-G.
Oh yeah, I was on a live stream with him. Good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, very good guy.
Yeah.
I like working with him. He gets the stuff done and he's very reasonable. So I mean, you're not gonna kill yourself trying to pay for a 20-second trailer. And when I say 20 seconds, I mean 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah,
It
I have
needs
to
to be a
say,
little teaser that says that launching soon, right?
I've seen a couple of trailers that I skip.
Right. It's too,
I know what you're talking about.
and
You know,
what
one
you're
of my
wanting to
buddies
do.
is so proud of his trailer, and I just said I actually don't want to watch your trailer.
Well, but this
Hurt
trailer
feelings.
isn't for what you think it is. This trailer is you send it to the people that you know have shows like this, like Nerd Bacon, and say, "Can I get you to play this bumper during your show for the next few weeks?" And all it is they just, they go over there, they load it in their StreamYard, and they hit that little 15, 20, just like that little Fun My Comic bumper. I send that out to everybody.
Oh, you said
So I get people to send that. I'll get it to you. I've got a link.
Yeah, I'll gladly play it.
Yeah, so I get people to play that bumper on their shows.
He's doing it. He's living. He's living his own advice right here.
So that way more people are seeing it. So I don't have to go on shows all the time. You don't have to have, like you don't have to dedicate an entire show to talking about it. I'm asking you for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I want 15 seconds of your show when you start it. Say sponsored by Fund My Comic or something like that. And if I need to help pay for your StreamYard that month for a little bit, let me know. I'll do it. I'll do what I got to do for you to be incentivized to play that bumper for me, because I know that bumper is going to help draw people to my stuff, right? So do that. Start working on those things. Do that for 2 to 4 weeks. And then schedule yourself a nice big fat launch party. Make a big deal about it. Know when that campaign's going to drop. Be ready. There's a lot of work that you're going to have to do on the building the campaign. That's not as important as making sure you've built up the hype for your campaign.
Right. What good is building a campaign page if nobody's going to come to it?
Exactly. It could be beautiful. It could be amazing. It could be the best campaign page ever built.
The best page on the website, never visited by anybody.
Exactly.
That's a nightmare. I just got the chills.
No one wants that. That's terrifying.
No, I don't want that. Everybody wants my comic. Here you go. I'll stop promoting that. True believers, you want my comic? Yeah.
True believers.
Yeah. I've been talking about this a lot lately. I'm trying to get my Stan Lee skills going because unfortunately there is no more Stan Lee left. And he that guy. I think somebody turned on a camera anywhere in the world. Stan Lee showed up and started selling comic books.
He really did. I mean, that guy would pop right in there, and he was so excited about comic books. He pushed it, and people
he got
started
me
taking
excited
it.
about comic books.
He got me excited about comic books, right?
My brother's a big biker guy who's not into, he's into motorcycles. He's not into comic books. And we saw Stan Lee, and he was like, guy never bought a comic book in his life, and he was more excited than me. It was funny to see him turn into like a little kid.
Yeah.
And we don't have that anymore, so we all got to do that. And I don't want to out anybody's names, but a few people have been messaging me. Will you promote my comic? Yeah, I'll promote your comic. I'll gladly talk about your comic, but come on and talk with me. But they're shy. They don't want to come on camera, and I feel like, dude, you gotta put a face out.
Feel free to put that link out there to everyone that's watching if they want to download Fund My Comic promotional information. They can download that right there and have access
send me that
to
link.
it.
I'll put
It's
it
in the private chat.
Yeah. Oh, you put it in the private chat. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's the the idea, I think, is doing that. And then once you start getting into building your campaign page, use the KISS method.
What's that?
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Oh, I thought you could say something about Gene Simmons.
Well, you can link it, I guess, if you want to. But
keep it simple, stupid. Yes,
keeping it simple.
Worker, that's our motto. We try to design things, and we say keep it simple, and that's the best way to build something.
There's 3 questions to answer, John. This is what I picked this up from my daughter. So my daughter loves going to conventions. And she will go around to all the tables and she will ask 3 questions. And depending on those answers, that depends on whether or not she opens her wallet. First question is, what are you selling?
Good question.
Exactly. What are you selling? She wants to know not some abstract concept. She
You
wants
gotta
to
have an
know, what
elevator
are
pitch.
you literally selling, right? So answer that question with your campaign. I'm literally selling a 24-page comic book. Like, that's what I'm, you know, it's a 24-page American size full color comic book. Here's my elevator pitch. I've got this great thing. You can, let me give you a link to that too. You can download my elevator pitch worksheet. I've got a quick pitch worksheet. So you figure out all this stuff about your story, and so you can break it down into just a few sentences so that you
Yeah.
can really pitch that book.
I'm sure you must have heard people that just when they told they're excited
Oh
about
my
their comic
gosh.
book, but they can't explain it succinctly, and my eyes just roll into the back
All
of my head.
day.
I'm trying to be polite, you know.
All day. And yeah, I don't want to, discourage people.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to be rude or anything like that. And I
Yeah.
know it's going to be a good idea, but if you can't if you can't explain it succinctly, then I don't think you really understand. I remember a writing teacher once told me, if you can't come up with a title for your story, then that means you don't even know what your story is about.
Yeah.
And I remember because that was I couldn't think of a title to one of my stories. Not enough campaigns explain what the hell the perk is.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm listening
So
to it.
so so
That's
what are
why
you
I told them.
selling? Answer that question. If you can't answer the question, what are you selling?
Right. What are you selling? What are you
Then
literally selling?
yeah. If you can't answer that question, then you don't know what you're selling. You've
Okay.
got to figure that out and work that out a little bit more. Once you are able to answer that question, then you need to move on and say, what are you most proud of? Put your best art forward. Put your best stuff at the beginning. Don't make them scroll through 3 or 4 paragraphs of just jargon.
Right.
Give them
Yeah.
this is what I'm selling. Here's the quick pitch. Here's the cover. Here's 3 to 5 finished pages. Here's some really cool stuff. Just make sure they see the stuff that gets you excited about your product, right? About your project. Then the third question you're going to answer is what are people most excited about? Is there a perk that you've been talking about? Is there something that you have to show off? That's where you start talking about your perks and maybe your creative team. Maybe people are really excited about the team you've put together. It's fun.
Your
That's what they
daughter
want.
asked these questions? How old's your daughter?
20 years old.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like 7.
No,
This is
no,
a
she's not
precocious
7.
child. How do you have a 27-year-old? You look 27
I have a
yourself.
20-year-old. She's not 7. No. Yeah.
You don't look much older.
I'm grabbing this link for you so that we can share this out as well. This is the worksheet that you can use. I call it a blurb worksheet, or I guess it could be called a pitch worksheet. I also like to call it the elevator pitch worksheet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got an email sign up for it. My book is it's all on info dump. Hopefully you're joking,
I
because
bought you. I bought it, right, Munez. I was like, oh, beyond the world.
because people don't really love info dumps.
Right. That you want to hear some of the best advice I ever got, and I
There you
don't know
go.
if you know Brian Bow of Wolf and Batsy. I was describing my comic to him, and he just said, "I've been listening to this for 2 weeks, and you haven't told me anything about the characters yet."
Yeah. Oh
You know,
yeah, the character
and he stopped me cold, and I realized he was absolutely 100% right.
yeah.
Best advice I ever got. You know.
Use that worksheet. I think that worksheet will help you out a little bit.
Okay, it's in the private chat. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a worksheet that will allow you. I mean, you just fill in the answers.
Is,
It
is
asks
it
the
okay if I put
questions.
this in the public chat?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
please share
Yeah,
that.
I don't. I gotta
Yeah,
ask.
that's a resource for everybody.
Okay.
It makes my job easier, and the other people that are admins makes their job easier when they're reviewing campaigns. If you already have that clearly and succinctly written down.
Okay, so I have a story. Obviously, I have an art team going, and
Yep.
then promote. So
Promote,
I
promote.
like to think I've been promoting. I could always do better, so I'll step up the promotion and get the word out. I guess I got to stop being polite. I don't want to be rude, but I guess I got
Yeah,
to
don't stop being polite. Just be a little more
a little more.
confident.
Yeah, a little more. What's the word? In your face.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds like a great comic. 500 pages of nonstop trade manifests and wasn't that pretty much the first of the prequels, trade agreements and from Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you're coming back with.
It's contracts. I've got a 500-page full of imaginary contracts and news articles.
Contract law.
Sounds like
the
fun.
comic. Yeah. So I got all this. All right, so I'm all this. I'm trying to list all the pages in my mind. I'm writing them down. Get a trailer, 20-second snappy trailer.
Yep.
Yeah.
20-second snappy trailer, and then work on your little longer form trailer. Use the snappy one. I said 15 to 20 seconds. Add another 10 to 15 seconds to it, so that you can, I have broken this rule. This is not a hard and fast rule. This is, kind of a boilerplate idea. You can break the rule. I mean, if you find out that your audience, is going to stick around for a longer trailer, then maybe. But on average, what we're finding out with Fund My Comic is you have about 17 seconds of a hit on each page before the viewer decides to move on.
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah. So you have about 17 seconds to catch them. And then from there, it's another battle of every few seconds. If you can keep more than 30 seconds on your page, you'll probably get a backer out of them.
Okay.
That's what we're learning.
All right.
Yep.
Now, like one of my friends was telling me, he's like, okay, you got all your comic, then you have to get it formatted. I didn't even know that was a step. Again.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
What is that?
Oh well, you'll need someone to do what they call pre-press.
Right, pre-press. That's exactly
Yeah. So you need to make sure, and you should have kind of be starting with that. I think your artist is pretty well versed in what he's doing. I don't know who your letterer is going to be. But there's a few people that are really good with that. And there's also a template on Fund My Comic for the average, for the, a good general page size, that if you follow those bleeds and those page dimensions, you'll be fine. But you'll want someone to set that up and set up your digital and everything for you.
Okay.
There are people that can do that. You can try to do that yourself. Sometimes
I didn't know the stage existed, and I'm going to do it myself. I know my limitations.
People do hire me to do that. That's part of my Luke Stone Studios business. Okay. So I've done that for people. I actually did that for the Mythicals. So the Mythicals pre-press I did. You can...
I'll write your name down underneath Pedro Ang.
Yeah. Sometimes the printer that you're using will do pre-press for you, and they'll just charge you a little extra. If they know you real well, they will do it for free. Sometimes
for customers, I guess,
Yeah, but you're going to want really good pre-press done. That's going to ensure that when the book comes, it's all in the right order and all the pages aren't turned around upside down or whatever the book is.
I felt a little embarrassed to even ask you what pre-press is.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's setting it up so that it gets printed the right way.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah.
You'll want to do that. You'll want to start thinking about your perks. Really start thinking about what value you're going to offer to the backer for backing your book. So obviously, you're going to want just a regular tier. This is my
comic book. Yeah.
This is the book. Yeah.
Yeah,
then you got to start thinking about other things that are going to be, well, what would I want? I like to use that method. Like, what would I want? What would make people excited? And that's what are people excited about question.
I just want a comic book. You know what I mean? Like when I see a sticker, I have a box full of perks. I know that sounds mean but I just want comics.
No, I'm the same way. No, I'm
you know
the
what I mean?
way.
So thinking about perks, I'm just like, What
That,
would
that
I want to throw away when I get my
that's
comic?
why on all of my no, that's why on all of my campaigns now moving forward, I'm actually going to put there's going to be the book price, and then for a couple of dollars more, I'm going to put the stretch goal pack. So whatever the stretch goals are, you'll get those. So that way, if you don't want all of that crap, you don't get it. You just get the book, right? But
Yeah.
some people like the tchotchkes.
Well, yeah, a lot of people like the
So
Chotskis.
here's
Yeah,
what you do. You've already now, but you've been talking to the people about your book. You're
yeah.
trying to get people lined up that are interested in your book. Why don't you ask them what kind of tchotchkes they want?
Good idea. Good. See, I'm glad I talked
What
to you.
should I put in the tiers? They're
What do
your
you want?
customer.
I,
Ask them.
there's two things. I want a comic, and I want a T-shirt. You know,
Right. Okay.
and just I was just thinking of because I got pint glasses made up for a
That'd be
special occasion.
that'd be awesome.
I was thinking of my. For those of you who don't know, my comic book is called Heroic Tales, and it's my world. So issue 1 is going to feature the patriarch. Issue 2 is going to feature a different superhero, but the whole world.
Stop. What's your world?
What is my world?
What is your world? Walk
It's
me through a normal day in your world. I wake up. I'm in John's world. What happens?
my world is it's Earth, but with superheroes. It's a world with superheroes.
Well, that's been done already, John.
I know, but
What makes your world special? That's the question you have to answer to all these backers. That's what they want. They don't want to know about the issue 1. This happens. You know, this
right,
is
I know
introduced.
that's
That's
what I was doing
introduced.
with Brian. Brian was like, "Well, tell me about the characters."
No, we want to know about the character. What makes this world special? Like, well, it's got superheroes. Well, what makes those superheroes better than the ones we've already got? Right? Like, what is that?
Yeah,
And
good point.
here's the hard thing that a lot
Let
of
me
people
just
don't
answer
realize.
Marcus. It's 22 pages of comic and then like letters page. I want it to look like a regular old fashioned comic that we read as when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that we have, there's a lot of people out there that when you ask them to answer those questions, rather than sit down and really try to figure out if they have an answer to it, if they really have a product, they just kind of get upset. And it's like, well, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
And they make a book that no one wants to buy.
Yeah, well, nobody likes criticism as much as they say they're open to it, but
Right.
but criticism is valuable. Like I said,
Well, when I ask a question like that, or a backer asks a question like that, that's not criticism. You're asking me for my money,
right.
and I'm willing to give you my money, but you have to answer a few questions to me. Why does your book deserve it more than that guy?
Good question.
Right? And so there is some competition
Right.
in the industry, because we're always competing over dollars, right? And as much as we want to say, well, I'm not in competition with other people, I'm technically not. I'm always really in competition against myself.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday,
ultimately
but
in competition with ourselves. But yes,
but
also,
that's what a free and open market is competition.
right.
Like, if you've only got $25 to spend, well, I got to figure out how much of that I can get, and I got to figure out, and if I've only got $25 to spend, I've got to figure out who's going to get it.
And Marcus asked a good question. How much will it be? 25 is a lot for a regular size comic. I totally agree. One of the things I've been saying, and a couple of people got a little ticked off at me, is I find that, the crowdfunding comics, I think, are a little expensive for what they are. Like, I want to say I want to make this as inexpensive as possible, but I don't know how much it costs to print a comic book yet. So I honestly can't answer.
20. Okay, if you're going to do 20.
But
let's say you're going to do 24-page self-cover.
Yeah.
So you said it's 22 interior pages you're going to need. No, you're going to need 32 pages if it's 22 pages to do the self-cover. Or you can do... So that's the other thing you have to figure out is like leafs and all those kind of stuff. How many total pages, what all you got to fill the extra pages with because you don't want blanks. And so you got to fill all that stuff. And then when you figure it out, 32 pages, we can normally print for about $265 a book, $270 a book on nice premium paper. So you're probably looking at that for printing. in between the $2 and $3 range.
Right.
Just off the top, just that would be a good guess. But
Yeah, I definitely don't want Marcus. I definitely don't want to sell people a $25 standard size comic book. I don't think I'd
I
feel.
think the Mythicals was like 13. I've done 10. It's possible to do way cheaper than 25.
I don't know if this is possible or not, but I'd like to do it on newsprint. Have you seen Alterna Comics?
Yeah, now finding a good newsprint, now you're going to run into a lot of trouble
I know.
with newsprint. I'm telling you, there's a reason why we don't print on newsprint anymore. Not only is it just it's an inferior print quality, it's an inferior product. It bends and get chinks in it so easily, and it's because the way web press works, it's done fast and in bulk, and so you have a very high number of books that are gonna come in at what we would consider damaged.
Oh,
They're going to be 7s and below if you were to grade them, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people want nothing lower than a 9.8.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to be really hard pressed to find 9.8s that are printed on newsprint. Just even brand new, right off the press, probably not going to happen. You might get a handful of them, but there's always something just a little off with them. So that's why a lot of people don't do newsprint. But there is a way to do stuff that is like newsprint, but is higher quality and still has the feel and the smell and, a lot of that stuff to it.
Yeah.
And is done not at the large bulks that you have to do with newsprint, that you can. So it's like, I can do a digital print on this and it doesn't feel like I'm killing myself. You can do a matte paper, which is what a newsprint would be. So you use a matte paper at about 60 pounds. And there are so many different printers that do that. I know one of them one printer that will customize every aspect of your printing that you want is Comic Impressions, comicimpressions.com. I've used them. I like them for my floppies. I've used them for some of my trades. I'm actually using them for my trades now again. They take a little longer than what I like. I've got another printer that I use in Florida that gets my stuff out right away to me.
How long does it take? So, like, if I was to call the guy tomorrow and say, let's go. How long before I get comics in my hand?
He'd say 2 weeks, and sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 3 or 4 weeks.
That's okay.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's not that bad.
You made it sound like it was months upon months.
No, that's what it would be if you do web press. It's a couple of months to get books if you're doing newsprint or get them printed in China. It's 3 months minimum from China. And then that's, if there's not
a few people have told me who they use as printers, and I got to say that their books look amazing. Yeah. So, yeah. They're not expensive in buying. I don't even want to start getting into politics now, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
So my graphic novel is 144 pages. I sell that for 25.
See, that's fine.
That's a reasonable price for
that's fine. I got no problem
for a graphic novel, or for a trade paperback.
140 pages for $25.
144, yeah.
That's cheap.
Yeah, you get.
Or should I say expensive? I don't want to call your product cheap.
Well,
that's inexpensive.
But again, what you're doing is
value.
What you're doing is you're trying to create value for the backers, because money is a little tighter, a little harder to come by these days than what it used to be. So you've got to think about all those things. So start thinking about your perks now. Like, I'm going to have this book, but then you've got to find out, well, where's the best place to get t-shirts made? If I want to get that, kick-ass tumbler, where do I get that done at? Where's a reasonable price I can do for that? What am I going to have to put it on my,
Yeah, the shipping is going to be the killer.
Yeah, and you're going to need art for all those things. Try your best to repurpose as much art as you can from your books. If there's like a killer, panel or something, have your artist pull that off to the side and, let's crop that out, get a PNG so we can use that for this, or all kinds of stuff.
What interesting perks have you seen in your?
There was I like games. I like it when people have like little games, card games and stuff that go with it. Dojo Kun had a little tin, like little mint tin game that came with one of his perks. Then T-shirts, puzzles I've seen, custom dice.
How about I come over and rake their lawn?
If you want, we did have a perk where if for $10,000 we would fly you out and buy you a steak dinner at the that'll get salty. I won't get into the anyway. We'd fly you out and buy you a steak dinner.
Did anybody take it?
No, no one took that one. John, I'm glad to hear that, man. That's a very exciting for me.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited too. I'm like I said last time you were on my channel. For those of you who are new, Luke's been on my channel before. We had a wonderful talk. I like that one of us is taking this into his own hand and you know and became the guy that we could go to. I really think that's a good thing, you know, because we all complain why somebody should build a website for us comic book fans. Well, somebody did.
Yeah, well, yeah, we've been saying it for ages. You know, we've been waiting around, and people's like, "Well, Luke, why you?" And I'm like, "Well,
because you did it.
Because I did it. You know, it was the right time, right place. I had some severance money to use, and primarily, I think the number one reason because I'm not afraid. I think fear is what keeps us from doing a lot of
I
the.
think what kept me from doing this.
awesome
I'm not
stuff.
very smart, you know, so no, I just never thought of it, you know.
Well, I'm smart enough to get myself in trouble. That's the thing.
Okay, all right. So you're in the same category. You're smart enough.
I'm intelligent enough, but I have very. So I do know, without sounding cocky, I have a certain set of skills. There are some traits that I do have that I know that I'm very good at. I'm great with ideas. Not only am I great with ideas, I'm great at getting people excited about those ideas. So I have kind of this natural born entrepreneurial leadership kind of thing. I've always done that. It's how I was able to get all of my friends in trouble while I didn't get in trouble back in the day. I was the one to talk them into the dumb ideas, you know. So I know that I've got this about me. But the other thing, another one of my strengths is surrounding myself with people that are top notch, A class kind of people.
Good. Yeah.
And so I know that I had a good idea. I was able to implement that good idea, get people excited about that good idea. But more importantly than all that, surround myself with the people capable enough to make that good idea become a reality. And at every possible intersection, crippling fear could have taken over, and I would have been like, oh, I'm done, forget it. But I didn't. But that's where I see a lot of people that can be successful and have the tools to be successful, that are probably smarter than me and more capable than me, why they don't go and do those things, because that crippling fear does take hold of them. Any traction on the gaming end? Yes and no. We haven't had a lot of RPGs on there so far. We are having some games on there that are finding success. But it really comes down to what we talked about at the beginning, John. People will make their game and then they will put it on there and not say a word to anyone about it and expect people to find their game just because it's there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're going to help promote. We're going to put it up there as much as we can. We're going to feature it. You know, we may even stick it up onto the featured section, whether it's been backed or not, to try to give some traction to it. But I can't sell your game better than you can. So that comes down to that. But there is a lot of competition for games right now. And I'm not just going to say that the green site is the only one. It is a primary site that people are using. But there's also a site called GameFound that a lot of people are using right now.
GameFound, real big.
And it's very good for that. I mean, it's entirely a game market, and I don't have anything against that site at all. I think they're doing fantastic
I haven't
work
heard
over there.
anything bad about that. I didn't want to promote another site while
No,
talking to you, but that
no, I
site
have
is
no
very
problem.
politically.
If someone's doing a good job, let's talk about
Yeah,
it. You know?
they've been politically neutral, and then they've been
Mhm.
doing exactly what they said. They're selling games, and they're making it easy to look up and buy stuff. So,
Yeah,
and I
they're.
think they are a reaction to Kickstarter because
I think
I
they are. Yeah, and I'm fully happy to promote them.
yeah, I
We
didn't want to.
do want to see more game traction on our
Are
site
you a
because
gamer?
we do. What's that?
Do you play games, board games?
I do. I like board games, card games, RPGs,
Yeah, you can see behind
tabletops.
me. I got just as much as I'm into comics, I'm into games. So
Yeah, I love all of that stuff. I don't really play video games very much
neither do
because I'm
I.
just too busy. I'm too busy for that.
Well, I know if I
I
started
want
playing
to.
video games, I'd be fired and divorced because it would
Right.
just my
Yeah.
life away. I got nothing against them. People get mad
Yeah.
at me when I tell them I don't play video games.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But but we're working to gain more traction on the gaming end, Paul. It is. I mean, again, the site's only been live for 6 months, so we still have quite a bit of ground to make up. But I think we're doing. I think we'll be doing fine on that. We always want to do better. We always want to see more traction, more stuff
for
going
Paul
on.
to answer Paul, for just as much as I've been talking about games, I mean talking about comics for the past couple of years, I've been buying a lot of games, much to my wife's chagrin. And I will say that I have noticed that there's a less of the game people going to the green site, Kickstarter,
Right.
because
Yeah, they're taking 5%. I think GameFound takes 5%. We only take 3%. If you launch exclusively for your first 30 days or so on our site, then we drop your platform fee to 2%.
oh wow,
So you're keeping even more of your money. So what we're trying to do is encourage people to take those calculated launches on our site so they keep more of their money. But then it also starts bringing more traffic there. It makes more people aware of it.
It's funny, Marcus is my comic grew out of because I've been playing superhero role playing games for since 1983. So I've been writing stories for my friends to play, and then I started logging them, and then I'm like, this would make a good comic. So like, it's funny. You planting ideas in my head. Maybe someday in the future to stat out my characters and make a role playing game. That
Well,
would.
we have a role playing game for hybrids.
Oh, you do.
Yeah,
You made up.
that was always part of the plan. I worked with a guy named Nick Tockard, who developed the game engine.
Oh, cool.
Our last crowdfunder was for that. We are a little late getting to print on that book because I had hired someone to do pre-press to set up all the pages for me. So it was more than pre-press. It was quite a big undertaking, and then they ghosted me after they got half the book done. And so I have to go, and we had a contract. So there's still even times when you have a contract that you're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
So I had to go back, and now I'm doing it all myself, and then I'm working on the art for the bestiary. So we'll have that out to print soon,
That's
very
cool.
soon,
Exciting.
and so we're excited about it. And then once we've fulfilled that, I'll do a second chance next year. I was running a crowdfund for that when I started Fund My Comic, so
That's
that
cool.
yeah, 5e, D&D, all that stuff's fun, and that stuff will work, especially with Cordrath, with a IP that he's got.
Yeah, that's a perfect blend. That's a perfect marriage right there.
Yeah, ours is a proprietary game engine. Like it's unique to our universe. So
Well, Paul, you just gave me a great idea that I need to talk to somebody because I'm very friendly with the people that made the role playing game that I play. So that would be a fun little.
what game do you play?
It's called Villains and Vigilantes.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that book.
Yeah,
I know
I've been
those
playing
guys.
Yeah. Oh, you do? You know Scott Bizarre and those guys, or do you know the?
I've met him. Yeah,
Oh wow, cool. Tell him I said
I
hello.
believe I've met him. Yeah.
Yeah, I because I've been corresponding with him and a couple of his, well, I think they're ex-employees now for years because I run a website called villainsvigilantesforum.com. Plug away.
I mean, it's been years ago that they've been working on that for a long time.
Well, the Villains Vigilantes forum is mine.
Okay.
It's a fan site that I've been running since the, I'm trying to think, like 895.
Yeah, I ran across them years ago.
I'm the only person that's been keeping that game alive on the internet. So they reached out to me and they wanted me to help promote their, but then they went through a legal trouble, and I didn't want to get involved with that.
No,
So
I didn't hear about that.
Legal troubles, and then I don't know what happened, but they kind of split in two, and then they started fighting, and I'm like, when mommy and daddy are done fighting, I'll get back involved. So you can't step in the middle of a legal battle.
Nope.
But that would be fun to reach out to them now. I'm curious because I think it's all been settled.
Yeah, we have our quick play that we're actually shipping out right away from my website. So it's an introduction to our rules and universe there. But it's you get to play in my sandbox.
Do you role play? Do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. Not as much as we moved. I don't have any. I don't have a game group here, and I thought I was going to find one.
Where do you live?
I'm too old. Southern Indiana.
I'm playing tomorrow night. Well, Friday night.
I'm too old for that group. They don't look at me as very cool, even though I'm a comic book artist. I'm just some lame old guy.
My group is all my peers that we've been playing together since junior high school.
Yeah.
I got a group of young kids in the group. They didn't get superheroes. They did code names. They did.
I really prefer superhero stuff.
I said, how could you want to play your superhero role playing game, but like one of the guys had like laser beam powers and he wanted to carry a gun. I'm like, why would you carry a gun if you got laser beam powers?
Because guns are cool.
You don't get it, Cyclops doesn't carry a machine gun.
Yeah, trading cards are pretty
trading
popular
cards
as
are
well.
Good idea. Trading card people like
stickers. People love chibis. I know 6 a.m. does a lot of them. I like my guy, Joe Spicer, does a really cute chibi. And
my guy
patches.
So he makes like resin figures?
No, he does just a chibi picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you're thinking about Kishi.
Kishi,
the little plastic resin, little thing. Yeah, so those are popular. Man, there's so many things that people.
Yeah, you give me good ideas. I'm very thankful.
Those acrylic standees, but those have gotten really expensive, so I'm not doing any more of those in the future. They're neat, but they're
Marcus is like me. I just really want the comic. I appreciate when I get all the stuff, like I said, but ultimately
keep your first campaign simple.
Yes, I agree.
Add a couple of fun things, but not a lot. Set your goal, and my last piece of advice before we sign off is this.
Oh, geez, we've been talking for an hour.
We have. My last piece of advice before we sign off is this. Don't get caught up in comparing your numbers with someone else's numbers.
Yeah,
right?
I know that's a hard thing to do, and intellectually I understand that.
You're going to have your goal, and when you hit your goal,
I'm a child inside.
When you hit your goal, you're going to get excited. Then you're going to see that stretch goal, and the closer you get to that stretch goal, you're going to want to hit it, right?
And then
let's say
Stones is doing better than me.
Let's say you've got a $2,500 goal and you've hit $3,500. Well, you're not going to be happy until you hit 4. Once you hit 4, I'm not going to be happy until I hit 5. Then you're going to look over and say, oh crap, their book just did $10,000. I'm way off from that. Look, you're a different person. You've got a different group working on it. The only thing that you need to worry about is how much money do I need to make this book a reality and get it into people's hands. If I've made that much money, then I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
that's my goal.
I have a job already. I have a day job. Let's be realistic. I have a very good job. I'm very happy with my job. My job puts a roof over my head, puts gas in the car, food on the table, and then comic books over here that I buy, spend. So
there was a day.
But I would like to break even.
there was a day in crowdfunding when all of these books that people were making they're making 500, 800, 1,500, 2,000. A very successful book would have been 3,000 or 4,000. Like that was.
I remember those
super successful. Way to go!
I remember believe it or not, the first time I heard about crowdfunding comics, I'm at work on a construction site, and one of the guys I'm working with, we just BS. And he's like, yeah, my next door neighbor's at the comics. He makes his own comics. He does them online. And I was like, online? That'll never work. That'll, and he was like, yeah, the guy makes like $4,000 a comic. And I was like, the dollar signs went off in my eyes, I was like, wow.
Well, you don't really make $4,000.
I know. I didn't know. I didn't know.
You don't see most of that money.
So,
right. People think that like, oh, that was take. No, that you're not.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but then you started seeing pros come over and you started seeing their numbers. And what happened was people looked at crowdfunded comic books as a legitimate way to consume entertainment.
Yeah,
And they started doing that. Yeah.
I know you're like me. You're excited to read, crowdfunded comics.
Yes.
More than mainstream.
They're my favorite.
I mean, look at this. I just got this in the mail. I can't wait to read it. I'm gonna read it tomorrow night. I got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading my copy.
Yeah, you know. It's
Rini
exciting.
did really good.
I'm sorry.
Rini's doing really good over on the website.
She's gonna come on. We're gonna have a talk a couple of weeks. She's super talented.
She's sitting at 21 or something.
I'm sorry.
She's sitting at 21,000.
Oh! I thought you said she was only 21. I was like, really?
No, she hit 21,000. She's sitting at 21,000 over on Fund My Comic.
Good for her. Good for her. That's another thing. I can't get jealous. Like I live my life with the philosophy as long as you didn't take anything away from me, I'm cheering you on. You're not stealing my car. You're not taking my stuff. So I want crowdfunds to do good because a rising tide floats all boats. You know what I mean?
It really does.
Yes, it's competition, but it's good competition. It makes me have to up my game.
We have to do better. And the other thing that you're going to notice is why we've seen those larger numbers in crowdfunding is because people are looking at it as a legitimate way
and
to consume the entertainment. And that's
and people
good for
still
us.
like comic books, regardless of what, people like comic books. People like you and I enjoy the fantastic. I used to say this to all my friends who weren't into comic books. I said, you show me a movie that you really like, and I'll show you Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and these guys did it 20 years beforehand.
Yep.
I love the imagination. I love the excitement. The concepts. I mean, we read those Doctor Stranges back in the early 70s. We traveled to other worlds. They opened up. I just think they're so much fun, and people want that. And and then you open up a mainstream comic book, and it's two people sitting at Starbucks drinking coffee. Why do you have superpowers if that's what you're going to do?
Yep.
I thought I bored you to death.
No, not at all.
I do that. My wife goes, go downstairs.
I'm making a quick note.
John is insane.
John loves comic books.
John, yeah. Figure that out. Take it a quick. Well, so I like again. I'm glad you explained what pre-press was because I was talking to somebody like, oh, you got a pre-press guy, and I'm like, I don't even know what this means. And they were just laughing. Like, do you know what you get yourself into? I'm like, no, I don't. That's why I want to talk to people. That's why I'm going to ask if Luke wants to talk to me. I don't know what I'm getting into. So I appreciate you taking time and coming down here.
It's my pleasure. It's so much fun hanging out with you.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I already know the answer to this question. But again, every video is somebody's first video. So what Luke is doing with Fund My Comic, he's going a step beyond. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually... If you go on your platform, you actually have people that will help.
Yeah, we walk you through.
Yeah, you said you have a pre-press guy. Like, would you have letterers and colorists or something like that?
Well, we know people that we can put you in contact with. Yes.
This you can't get on the other sites. And
no, we're going to help you. Like, hey,
because this is comic book people who like comics. This isn't businessmen who just want to move product.
And there's some people that aren't quite ready for the crowdfunding side yet. But they're like, hey, where do I find an artist? Or, so we can give them some ideas, do you know a letter? Or what do I need to do for pre-press? And we're actually putting together a page. It's been weeks, months in the making, where it's just a list of vendors that we like, letterers, artists, colorists.
Well, that's great. and
places
I'm
to get
sure these are
printing
people
done.
that you
And
vetted out or used personally. So
yeah, people that I know that
not
are
just some rando.
people I know that aren't going to screw you
Yeah.
over. But even then, I mean,
Even that's
sometimes you
going
get
above
screwed
and
over.
beyond. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I was talking while you were talking because
as I said, even with that, even after we vetted them, sometimes you still get screwed over.
well,
Yeah,
life is complicated.
it is.
So yeah, all right. I didn't even realize we were talking an hour. I try to make a hard fast rule of only talking for an hour because I'm long winded and boring. So anything you want to say to close us out? Any word of advice? Anything you
Yeah.
want to sell?
Look, keep it positive. Build up more than you tear down, and leave the wood pile higher than you found it.
Yeah,
It's really easy to go out there and be negative about everything, but you're in charge. You're in charge of your future.
I absolutely agree.
You're,
I think the internet is negative enough, and I like
if
to
your book
say
doesn't sell, it's no one's fault but yours.
I like to think that my channel's been nothing but positive. I don't,
It really has.
I've been doing showcases, and I made one negative video just to make a point of something that I an example of why I didn't like something. Yes, I'm a New Yorker from Long Island. Yes, Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus also sent me some wonderful art samples, and I would love to work with Marcus in the future. If God willing things go well. Have a nemesis like John and Irene. Oh yeah, hey, okay, Slacker. You want to be my enemy? Yeah, let's start a feud.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a
Yeah.
link to somebody who could be my arch enemy?
Yeah.
Like Venture Brothers?
I do think some of that's really funny. The pre-designated we're gonna have a Twitter beef.
Yeah.
That stuff for me. That's funny. People take themselves. Man, it's the funny books. It's called the funny books,
All right.
right? And people take themselves way too serious,
Yes,
and they just get so worked up.
I don't understand. I had Eric July on here a couple of weeks ago, and one thing I wanted to ask him about it, I said, "What is it about you that drives people absolutely insane?" And he just started laughing about that. I said, "You're just a guy making comic books. If you don't like Eric July, just ignore him. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. But people are going crazy that this guy
Marcus says Malin's too good at kayfabe. I don't think he's good at it. That's the problem. I don't think Malin is good at it. I think Malin thinks he's good at it, but he's not good at it.
What do you think? He's really living it?
I think he doesn't know how to do it right. I think he doesn't know how to do it right.
What is kayfabe? That's the wrestling world. I'm not.
Yeah, kayfabe. That's where it's manufactured. It's fake drama. I don't think he knows. I think he thinks he's doing kayfabe, and he doesn't realize opponents are in it. like it's only kayfabe if you know.
I don't even know these.
Yeah,
terms.
I get it. Yeah, that's funny.
I'm not cool. What is nagging now? Now I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Is it something dirty that I shouldn't be?
No, it's not dirty. It's just it's nagging. That's what it is.
Like poking
It's
fun.
just yeah.
You
Pretty
break it,
much.
as my father would say.
Yeah, it's in that genre. It's kind of
Okay.
basically what it is. But no, I think that
Just these two
it
terms
can
make
be
me realize
fun.
that maybe I'm not hip and cool.
Yeah, like July. I know why people hate July. I know why they do. He has a very lot of strong, just a massive amount of very strong opinions about mainstream comic books, and then he makes his own comic book.
Right.
If you are a critic, okay, if you make your platform based on criticizing other people's work, and you get more clicks when you say what sucks than what's good, right? Then when you make your work, expect to have that raked over the coals, gone through with a fine-tooth comb.
That's a good
It's
point.
what it is. It's like if you go on Twitter and say a political opinion, and then you get mad that somebody disagreed with you on Twitter.
That drives me crazy. Because to me, Twitter is a replacement for the forum. Like in the old Roman days, we'd go out to the forum and we'd say something. I put on my toga and I say, Caesar's a jerk. And then somebody would say, that Caesar's not a jerk, you're a jerk. That's what Twitter is. So why I had a friend of mine.
Right.
I responded. I said, then don't say it on Twitter. Twitter's a public
Exactly right.
Don't say anything on Twitter that you don't want to clap back on because
So the kayfabe stuff that I like you know, like that manufactured beef, is like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. You know those guys are cool with each other,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because they do it right. They do it, you know. You can say a really sarcastic remark to someone and wait right past that point of awkward when people like, wait, were you serious? And then crack the smile. But the problem is you've got to crack the smile. At some point, you have to smirk so they know you're joking, right? I think people get on the internet and they forget to let people know that the beefs they're starting, I'm just being a butthole, right? Like I'm just having fun. I'm just stirring crap up.
Yeah,
I'm jumping in and kicking
I
over
get
the pot
nervous
and then
about
leaving.
that on my channel, like because I joke around and I do self-effacing humor and stuff, like and then somebody will say something on the comments and then like I was do
It's
you
a
realize
joke, guys. Yeah.
yeah I'm not out here to hurt anybody's
Yeah.
if
I've told
I'll say
people
this
to.
right now in front of Luke is a preacher, so the Lord will hold me to my oath. Take everything in the best possible spirit because that's the way I mean it.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. It's like, just imagine that I'm smiling and then I'm being sarcastic about pretty much everything I say.
Plus, I'm a construction worker. You should hear the stuff that
Oh,
we
yeah,
say
I get it.
when there's no cameras around
Yeah.
and no
Well,
microphones.
and true, you know, if you criticize, you're going to get criticism.
Yes,
That's what I was, you know, I told,
but Eric, criticize them. Criticize. But now we got like stalkers. One guy's like taking a
that's
picture,
weird.
calls
That's too
the
far.
gun over a comic book.
That's weird.
Dude, that's not normal behavior.
That's unhinged.
Yes, I expect somebody. I'm going to make my comic book by hook or by crook, however long it takes. I'm going to make my comic, and I'm going to expect that somebody's going to hate it. Somebody's going to say it's the worst comic book ever made.
But so
That's fine.
what happened with Eric? So here's why people hate
my
him.
house.
Yeah, I never did finish my thought on why people hate
Oh,
him.
I'm sorry.
So I got distracted. I'm ADHD. It happens. My meds are wearing off already for the day.
It's too crazy.
So he goes, he does that, right?
Yeah.
He makes the book. So they're excessively critical with him because they feel he's excessively critical with the works that they like, right?
That's fine.
Well, the problem is people liked his book. I read the first one. I found problems with it, but it wasn't bad. You know, it wasn't terrible. He needed an editor. I feel like I could have helped him make, and I'm not great at editing, but I could have given him a few pointers to make the book a little bit better. Like it would have been, you know, I get it. I see where people's complaints are. That's fine. He's correcting those, right? Where it really goes, it really gets their goat, really burns their toast, really grinds their gears, just as rubbing salt in their eyes is what it is right here. Is that he made a lot of money on the first book. Right. And they were hoping, fingers crossed, praying to God or Allah or whatever God they serve. They were praying that his second book wouldn't do well. And the expectation was $2,000, like $2 million was, I said, look, second book, about half the people that buy the first book come out for the second book. If he makes $2 million on this thing, he's doing good. Yeah. Anything less than $2 million, it's not successful. $2 million and above, successful. Guess what? He made $2 million on it. People came back. Now that he's got professional writers working on this stuff,
it's only going to get better.
They're going to come and buy those other books, and that just infuriates.
I'm a Mike Barron fanboy, so yeah, you know.
It just infuriates them. They can't stand it. It just
jealousy is a horrible way to live your life.
And these people, they have no lives, and they're unhinged, and they're not right. You know, so instead of just turning off the internet and going and doing something else and talking to somebody that doesn't even know what a comic book is for a half an hour or something, they just live in that all day long, and they're in their discords, and they're constantly staring at this little black screen, and they live inside of that. And
I look at Eric July's success as, wow, that shows you how high the bar is. It could happen. It could happen to me. I'm not saying it will. I don't expect it to, but it could.
Here's what I saw when I saw that. I was like, wow, my book's better than that book. I can make that much money too if I can figure out how to reach the audience. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying, and I don't mean that arrogantly against Eric July at all. Again, I said I like the book. I like what he's doing. Right. What I'm saying is my book's better. Okay.
And well, you have to, otherwise, you know.
That's an objective fact. that
And
my
he wouldn't
book is
lie. He's a
better.
preacher.
See, that's the whole thing. Like, you got to crack the smile eventually. You got to
Right.
realize, people got to know that you're being sarcastic, you're being silly. But if his book can make that much money, imagine how much money
Well, that's
mine can
that's my
make. If
point. Is it shows you that there's an audience of people who
there
want
is, yeah.
comic books.
Yeah, there's people that want books, and
My only criticism was I thought $35 for an untested comic book.
it's a lot of money.
And I said this to Eric July, so I don't feel like I'm saying anything out. I resisted buying it because that was like my little protest. And then I got to say, curiosity got the best of me. And then after talking with the guy, I'm like, you know what? He's a good guy. He's a decent guy. I think he's a genuine guy. So
I'll be honest with you, the book was not terrible, but I did not connect with the main character's motivation.
Well, my problem was I don't know what ISA means, and I'm a lunatic. I can't connect with the character if I don't know what the superhero name is.
I don't know. I think the name is a common African
it's a Bible
name.
thing, I think.
There's nothing in the Bible about Isom.
Okay, somebody told me it was a biblical name. I don't know what
Well,
it
no,
means.
there was a company that, like a ministry that, International School of Ministry. But that's not what it is. It's something else.
That was a coincidence, and then other people are trying to draw him into a legal battle.
Exactly. 16 years of building a fan base.
Right. Like,
so,
if I may, like Cable, that character Cable that Rob Liefeld made up, I still don't like that character. I hate that because what does that name mean? Cable. He's a guy from the future who shoots a gun and he's got a bionic arm. His name's Cable. That's like something a child makes up, and it should have been a strong editor should have been like, this name makes no sense. Wolverine, perfect name. Spider-Man, we know he is.
What if Cable's just his name?
Right. But I don't know. Cable.
What if his mom and dad named him Cable?
Is that his name? Isn't his
Yes.
name Nathan Summers?
I don't know.
Yeah, his name is Nathan Summers.
Nathan Summers, yeah.
And
he goes by
he
Cable.
goes by the name Cable. It's like, all right, my name is Cup. What do you do? I stick
I love
to
Lamp.
laser beams. You know what I mean? The name.
I love Lamp.
The name has to fit this. So
right, yeah.
So I gotta know what ISO means. I can't connect with the character until I know what.
I didn't connect with his motivation, the character's motivation.
Yeah, and I don't want to turn this into a bash Eric July.
No, not at all. I'm just saying my critiques with it.
Channel, so
my critiques were just that. It's like with any comic book that I pick up, do I connect with the character's motivation?
Well, you'll connect with the patriarch. Why? Because he's a dad. He's a father, and his motivation is he's got superpowers. He's got a family. He's got children, and he feels it's his responsibility to have a good world to raise.
I
his
think
family.
I would connect with that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, there was what I was most interested in is in the back of the book at the end. There's this band that's fighting alien things or something, and I was like, now that I want more of. So that and again, having done, this was his first comic book. He didn't really know what he was. He had the experience of a fan reading it, but he hasn't been on the production side of a comic book ever, really, So for a first attempt, it was great. But there was a lot of real estate, comic book real estate, that, it took a long time to get to into this act when, it's kind of like a lot happened, but nothing really happened, That was really my complaint.
I like that there was an ad for his wife's business. I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
And I noticed the people that complained aren't married.
Right.
You know what I mean? You better believe, if my wife had a business,
look, you're lucky that I don't put a full page in all of my comics just talking about how awesome my wife is.
You know what I mean?
It's my prerogative.
People are complaining.
Look, it's his book. It's his book. It's his company.
Business. Come
it's
on,
his family. Let him do what he wants to do. Look, he proved to all of us that you do not have to go through the mainstream to make a lot of money.
Right.
I'm excited about him doing it.
Van Sciver was successful. Brian Polito's been doing it quietly. Like for like 10 years now.
Look, I'm a fan of Eric July. I've been following Eric July since 2008.
You see, I kind of only heard of him when the comic book thing got announced. So
no, I liked him because he was libertarian, and he was saying the things that I was thinking, but he could get by with it because all the liberals in our country would not dare tell a black man he couldn't say that.
Right. So,
well, now they finally got to that point to where they're like,
yeah,
no.
Well, yeah, now.
But
now we can attack him.
Yeah, and I loved hearing what he had to say about comic books because he had the same gripes that I had about them. You know, he would talk about these stupid movies and stuff like that, and he would then talk about the good stuff too. And I followed him for a long time. I'm still a subscriber. You know, I don't watch his videos as much anymore.
See, I
They,
didn't even know any of his political stuff. I didn't know
well,
that he
they,
was hired by the blade. I just knew he was some guy that came out of nowhere and made a comic. Or he, I heard of him when he announced that he was making a comic book, and I was like, saw how people
yeah.
were going crazy.
Well,
And one thing I
in
learned, when
2020
people go
is
crazy. There's got to be something
yeah.
behind.
Well, in 2020, his videos started taking a more negative turn, and I think it's just
Oh,
because the world got more negative, and so he responded in turn, like many people did.
I got to say, I was
And
negative in 2022, and me and my wife, we just decided we're gonna be positive because
yeah,
that's just a bad way to live your life.
and I think Eric has done the same thing. He's trying to focus more now on his books
Yep.
and what he's doing, and
And
so
he's got a lot to
I'm
be grateful for. He's got a lot to.
really.
He's got a
I mean,
positive
look,
going. I wish him all the best.
I almost breathed my last breath, man.
Yeah,
I'm
that's scary.
just happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm
Just
happy you're
happy to
here
be here.
too.
Yeah,
And at that, we'll go because
we're
I
gonna
try to
go.
keep these an hour, but I could
Yeah,
talk to you all night.
I know. I could talk to you for
Everybody,
days.
but it's the God's honest truth. I could talk to everybody all night. I could
Yeah.
talk to Mel, man.
Yeah, I
I
need to
like
get to bed. I'm gonna hang out with my wife for a little bit today and
I
tonight,
got to
and
go to bed. I wake up at 4 in the morning.
I'm gonna get up. Yeah, I get up early in the morning. I got to get some Fun My Comic work done before I do Nerd Bacon. So anybody out there that's watching, set your alarms. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning on my channel, Luke Stone Studios over on YouTube. We will have Nerd Bacon. It's a 3-hour long form show. John, you stop by every once in a while to
Yeah.
listen.
When I was on furlough, I would wake up and watch it. But
Yeah, so
9 o'clock.
we cover industry news primarily, things that are going on in comic books and games, and we do that from what would be a trusted industry source. So we actually look at it that way. We don't really get into a lot of hot topics. We get into actual industry
Is this
stuff
every day you do this, or
every Thursday for
every
3 hours. Yeah, from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern. We do that. We normally have someone on that we interview, talk about their work, what they're doing, getting to know them. We do some highlights on Fund My Comic, and then we get into, sometimes we have a topic. This week is Can I Buy a Vowel? Talking about just the fun of writing and how
oh,
we get into a creative space where we can just come up with worlds and universes that are worth sharing with others. Just how do we go about getting the creative juices pumping?
no, Belmont Press is here. This is
Welcome,
Justin.
guys. Yeah.
He's been on my channel. He has a great comic. Smokes the fox.
Smokes the fox.
Weaponized werewolf. That stumbled out of my mouth.
Why would not? Why will?
Yeah, exactly. You can tell I'm starting to fade now.
Yeah,
It's late for me.
it's past your bedtime.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for coming by. You answered a lot
My
of
pleasure.
questions. I actually have a couple of questions that if you don't mind, I'll send you your way to
Absolutely.
a couple of these people that you
Yep.
mentioned I might want to work with.
Yep.
Fund My Comic again. I'm excited because this is a guy who likes comics. Like I said, he's one of us. He's a comic book guy. He been growing up reading comics, and now he's making a website so we can make comics. I think that's great. We all say somebody should do this. He did it. He did it.
Yep.
And I applaud you for doing it. I so many times I'm like, yeah, man, I should do this. I should do this, and then I never did, and you did it. So I give you all the credit in the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. I'm glad people are engaging with it in
Yep.
the way they are.
Yeah,
Makes it feel like all the work has been worthwhile.
and I hope to be working with you in the I don't know how long it's going to take.
Absolutely.
The future. I'll just leave it at the future.
Absolutely.
All right.
Can't wait to get you launched over there.
And thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's a lot of names that I haven't seen before. I love that. Subscribe to my channel too. I try to keep positive, talking about comic books every day. Right now, I'm doing a series where I'm cataloging my comic book collection because I lost my database. So I'm scanning them all and whatever. I got 150 long boxes. This is going to be a long series.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I know. It's annoying already. These boxes are heavy. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya. Have a good one.